Hello there, my name is Thomas. I'm representing investmentexcel.com in this session where I will show you how to build a very simple linear regression model to predict the returns of Apple Inc.'s shares. We will apply a fundamental approach as opposed to technical approaches, where we'll focus on one driving factor for earnings in Apple, namely US GDP. This video and the Excel sheet are available as always on investmentexcel.com and spotify.com. Let's move on. First, I will just show you the time series that we have chosen, or that I have chosen to build the model from. Except for the dates, all numbers here, they are fantasy, they are more or less arbitrarily chosen, and as you will see in 2018 the price here is above 900 for Apple, and the price in reality was around 400 to 500. Nevertheless, this is 25 years of history of Apple's price and GDP measured in nominal dollars. And again, you should be aware that the GDP here is just numbers. The real GDP is around 18,000 billions of dollars, so clearly these are just arbitrary numbers, but it doesn't have an impact on the modeling. Now I will build a simple linear regression model of this form, where Apple Inc., represented by Y, is supposed to be priced in a true model with a constant B0 and a slope, or B1 parameter, times the GDP plus a disturbance term, an error term. This is supposed to be the true model. And then this time series here for Apple and GDP represents a sample from this true model. And now we would like to estimate the parameters, and we will not here focus so much on statistics. We will just estimate the parameters to build the model. In other sessions I focus on the statistic inference. When we calculate the intercept and the slope of a simple linear regression in Excel, we can simply use the function intercept between Apple and GDP and the slope. Alternatively, you could go to data analysis and find the regression, and it's easy to conduct in there, and in there you will also find many statistical parameters and statistical information in general for the model and the model's goodness of fit. I will just show you the technique behind the simple regression, or actually regression in general, also with more variables than just one, for instance with GDP here. What we do in simple linear regression when we use the ordinary least squares technique is to take the difference for each observation between the real price of Apple minus the modeled price. And in this case, the model priced is is some parameters that we put in here. So it's just a guess, and then we take that difference for all of them. And very important, we have to take the squared difference, otherwise we will incur the problem of terms netting out. So big differences in each direction plus minus netting out, leaving the result lower than it is actually in terms of variation. And here's the sum. And what OLS does is simply to minimize this sum with respect to the two parameters that we are able to change. And it should give us the right B0 and B1, that is the numbers we had before. So we can use the solver for this, and if you don't have solver in your Excel, you can find it in File, Options, and then go to Add-in, and then there is a solver option. So here I will set my objective function, which is a sum of squared residuals as it's called, and we will minimize by changing these two variables. We have no constraints on the parameters that they should be positive or negative or other sizes, so we'll try. And here was the solution. And okay, and here it gets very interesting for me, because I will just take the intercept and see. It says 2664. So somewhere there is a problem in the calculation, and I will just try, and it's right here, because I haven't squared the difference. So luckily we found it quite quickly, so I'll just try to run the solver again and see if I get the result that I wanted. Okay, much better. So here it is. Those were exactly the numbers I had before, with the intercept between Apple and GDP, and the slope between Apple and GDP. So here it is. So now it's estimated, and this tells us that the Apple price is equal to 264.32 plus 3.33 times the level of the GDP in any given year. So out here I can see the actual development of the Apple price over the last 25 years, and I can see the model price, which is the blue one. Now I want to show you how to calculate a forecast of Apple based on this model. What we need to do when we use cross-sectional analysis or fundamental analysis in this way, we need to have a prediction on the GDP level next year. So this year we know it's 214.61, which was the last GDP level down here. Now I need forecast for the level all the way to 2024, 5 years ahead, or sorry, 6 years, and I will come up with some guessing on the development or the evolution of growth rate in GDP, 4%, 3%, 2%, all nominal amounts. Once I have this, I can calculate the GDP level. And once I have the GDP level for each year, it's simply typing in that GDP level for each year and using the model that we have estimated up here. So for instance, in 2024, I type in the GDP level and multiply it with the estimated B1 plus 264. So this is the way to use linear regression and forecasting. Yeah, and as I just showed you, you have the forecasts here, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. This one is known. The first one here is known. So doing cross-sectional analysis, we still have to guess on the explanatory variable in the next period, but then we have the functional relationship. So this is the way it works, and obviously this is a very simple model. We could have added here, for instance, interest rates, unemployment, inflation, and other factors that all would somehow explain Apple's earnings and perhaps general risk aversion in the market. But here it's just GDP. And if you'd like to know how to do that with more variables, please refer to the sessions I've made on matrix and regression, and how to easily build multi-regression models based on the matrix approach. Thank you very much.